So I've got my good pal Kyle here today. He's a professional in unorthodox learning methods, being a graduate of both media school and outdoor school, and he is willing to share with us his experiences. So, so there, Kyle. Why did you choose to do outdoor school?
Why did I choose to do outdoor school? Well, I initially learned about it from, it was actually back in grade 10 when all the integrated programs came to the schools across Saskatoon, and they all came to basically just like promote their stuff. So they had videos and stuff showing what outdoor school was, and it was an environment basically that was entirely outdoors, and that all the learning was outdoors, and they explained it as such, that it was very much emphasizing an outdoor learning environment, something that was completely different from desk learning, basically.
Right.
And that's what intrigued me about it. Couple that with my basic love for the outdoors from before, and it was something that always that always interested me, I guess. And so I just kind of held on to that until I got to grade 11. Then I applied and got it.
Cool. How did outdoor school change how you learned or how you comprehended the material?
Outdoor school, basically the way outdoor school worked was that it was a full semester, just like regular school,
Right.
and that's about 5 months of learning. In those 5 months at regular school, you're going to spend all 5 months in a desk learning from a teacher from at the top, like at the front of the classroom.
Yeah.
That's how.
Four walls.
Yeah, it's four walls and a roof. That's all it is, which is all good for a lot of students, but a lot of students can't learn that way. The way outdoor school did it, I think, we had a classroom. This was when it was in Marion Graham. It's now in City Park now. But we had a classroom, and I think we spent a grand total of about 1 month out of the 5 actually in the classroom learning. Most of the learning happened outdoors. So the first day we went for outdoor school, we literally went on a walk down to the river, sat in the snow, and learned about climate. And that was my introduction to outdoor school, and that is what set the precedent for the next 5 months of my learning. And you asked what was the second part of the question?
Or comprehended the material.
How I comprehended it?
Change how you comprehend.
It changed a lot based on the fact that what I was learning about was right in front of me. So when we went outside and went out to the river, we learned about how the river over millions of years has changed the way it's moved based
Right.
on ice ages and environmental changes again. And that's how a lot of my learning happened, is that we would go to the place that we were learning about, or that was related to what our learning material was, and it provided that physical connection that made learning about it a lot easier. So we went down to, there's a house on Broadway that's it was a medical house. It's a tourism attraction now down by Broadway. We went over there and we learned about the history of Saskatoon and how it went from it was a colony. I don't remember what it was called, but it was a colony from Ontario of people who came in, and it became a very, very conservative colony. It was very religious and
Right.
very much no alcohol, no brothels, no nothing of that sort was prohibited at all. And we learned from the beginning point all the way to where Saskatoon is now. And we
Okay.
learned that at a cultural, a historical place in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
And so that was basically how I learned, was we go to a place that related to the material that we were learning. And that was really cool.
Yeah, I bet that would help with the comprehension.
Absolutely.
What did you like about the program?
Again, goes back to question 2. That's how I learned, and that was
Right.
fantastic, right? But additionally, what we do is at outdoor school basically every month. So every 3 weeks, we'd go on a trip outside the city. We go on a camping trip. This ranges from a weekend out by Battleford to a week out in the river systems, North Saskatchewan. So, and this happened every 3 weeks, and it went from a weekend to 7 days of camping out in the outdoors. So, when we went on those trips, the same thing happened where we learned inside the city, where we'd learn about where we were, the environment we were in, the plants and animals that we are around, and then also basic survival skills. Like we learned 10 knots, I think we learned, how to build a fire, how to build a shelter, how to do all that basic survival skills that you'd use in camping, and stuff like that. So it wasn't just that we were learning academic stuff. We weren't learning just like environmental science stuff that would be in the curriculum. We were learning about we were learning like skills that would be used way past an educational lifestyle. So, and then on top of that, outdoor school was very keen on promoting a very physical lifestyle.
Right.
So there was times where we went out rock climbing and learned how to belay, learned all of that. What else we do? Tons of canoeing. We went bicycle riding in the city. We learned the ins and outs and all that. And it was outdoor school basically promoted a very active lifestyle and taught through that. And so if there's anything that I really liked about outdoor school, it was that, and that how different it was from regular school in that regard.
Right, yeah, the actual things that can be helpful outside of academics.
Yeah.
It's neat. What did you dislike about the program?
At the same time that it is very different from regular school, it can also it's also consequential to the program.
Right.
So, as much as we were learning really cool things and stuff like that, when it came down to curriculum stuff and like the stuff that's like taught in a desk and kind of that stuff that you can't really learn without that time in the desk, that kind of got put on the back burner in favor of all this other stuff. I still got all my credits, all the information, like my English credits and stuff that were needed to be prerequisites for grade 12 stuff when I got to my grade 12 year. I had no problem transferring into those classes in outdoor school. I did not learn as much as someone might, like, of the academic stuff as much as someone who was in regular school.
Right.
So, in that regard, that was something I kind of disliked about it. It's something that they can't really change in an extent because of how much they're trying to cover. But it's something that's definitely like something to keep in mind, is that you will get the information you need, you will not get all of it.
Right.
To an extent. Additionally, it was hard sometimes. It was stupid hard. Like our first camping trip when we went to North Battleford, this was second semester.
Right.
Because it's divided into 2 semesters just like regular school. Second semester, we started in the start of February. Our first weekend camping trip, it was -30 below, plus 10%, plus like a -10 wind chill. So it's -40 degrees outside, and we're outside camping. And that was my first camping trip. This is like a week into the school year too. So this is like, again, introductional stuff to outdoor school. So I am freezing my butt off, and like I don't have the right gear quite yet and stuff like that. So it was hard. It was stupid hard. And like a lot of the stuff that we did was stupid hard. We go like on our canoe trip, we went like 6 hours of canoeing nonstop.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I lost weight. Which I didn't know if I could lose weight at that point, and I gained muscle, which was really cool, but it was hard, and like bones were broken. I busted my ankle on one of the trips.
Oh, wow.
That was fun. I was in a boot for a good month. And yeah, so like it's not, when I say that's a very physical program, it is a very physical program.
Right.
I don't think that should ever be something that should take anyone away from it though.
Okay.
There was people who didn't know how to swim who would go for outdoor school, and like teachers, they made sure that every student was still able to go on the trips and are comfortable with it. And like they are going to push you. 100% they're going to push what you think your limits are in terms of physicality. They're not ridiculous about it. They're not drill sergeant you about it.
That's neat. The broken foot thing's pretty wild.
Well, it happens, right?
Yeah.
You're in the outdoors. You like.
But it's worth the risk, right?
Oh, it's 100%. 100%.
Okay. And the next question was about life skills, and you're talking about not tying all this non-academic things that you don't really learn from school. So I think
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, we learned a lot of camp lifestyle skills from not tying, setting up a tent right, finding locations that would be suitable for camping, like finding the spot you should settle down for the night in terms of where is an elevation, a declination. Learned about orienteering. So one of the trips the teacher did not tell us where to go. We had a compass, we had a map, and they taught us navigational skills right before.
Oh wow.
So and we changed, like every time we went to a different spot, we'd always change leaders. So every student had to lead the group to the right place, and the teacher unless we're going the completely wrong direction, the teachers didn't tell us if we were doing right or not. We had to figure it out. So it was a lot of like basic survival skills that we learned as well. And then there's also like basic skills on clothing and what's good, like how to layer properly, how to survive Canadian winters, what's the difference between a synthetic jacket and a down jacket, all of the intricacies that provided the like best comfortable time in these elements. We learned how to do that. Or we learned backpacks, we learned waterproofing gear, and then like skills like canoeing. Like I said, we learned how to I didn't know how to canoe before that trip, and then near the end of the trip I knew basically as much. Like I was good at canoeing at that point.
Right.
Because we did so much of it and stuff like that, and like cycling in the city and how to properly do that without getting ran over.
Yeah,
things
that's a battle on its own.
It's something good to know. But we learned a lot of skills that pertain to not only an outdoor like a camping perspective, but also like in city stuff. Additionally, it was a lot of learning how to communicate and teamwork as well.
Right.
So like I said, there was a lot of communication, like when you're orienteering, like students had to work together to figure it out. There was a lot of group work. Like every assignment we had, I think, was a group project in some way. So it was a lot of learning how to communicate with your fellow students, and how to work towards sometimes just surviving for the night. You were never in any danger. I should preface that right now because it sounds like I'm saying that we were like Bear Grylls in it in the middle of nowhere, and he just left us off in the middle of nowhere with bears everywhere. We didn't, 100%. But it was a lot of like learning like how to carry gear correctly, and like who took what, and learning people's strengths and weaknesses, and having a lot of team-oriented stuff. There's a lot of team-oriented building and skills to learn, which I think for me really helped going back into a high school system, because it taught me communication skills, and it taught me skills of people skills that helped me both in high school and even when I got into the job field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Would you recommend this for other students or a particular type of student?
100% I'd recommend it to students, at the very least, as something to consider. There are students who work very well in a high school setting, who work very well studying and in a desk and have a teacher telling them the stuff and asking questions in that way back and forth. There's some students who work perfectly in that, and that's their element, that's how they work. There is a lot of students who don't. There's a lot of students who work much better doing what they're learning and seeing what they're learning, having that physical connection. And there's always that student that you see in class who asks, how does this help me in life? Like, there's always a student in math class who's like, how is this going to help me? And
Right.
it's for that exact student that I think that these programs are pertaining to
Oh, yeah.
an extent. Because these programs, it's just a very different learning environment, and even if it's not your learning environment, it's it's different. So you learn through that entirely different, basically culture,
Yeah.
learning culture, and I think that helps shape how you learn, and also gives you a lot of skills that you wouldn't get from a classroom.
All right. The last question is outdoor school a bandwagon, or is it here to stay? What do you think?
I think outdoor school is here to stay. Outdoor school has been around since the late 90s. I think it's either 20 years old or per
Oh,
year.
wow.
So, and it from based on what I'm thinking, it's definitely here to stay. Students are still excited to go there. When I went back to grade 12 and went back to my home high school, there were students in grade 10 who were asking me questions about outdoor school and were excited about outdoor school.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
Yeah. And there's people who were still really jazzed up about it. So there's no shortage of students who are going there. The teachers love what they're doing. 100%, they absolutely love.
It's important.
Yeah, they love the outdoors. They love the teachers and teaching, and they love learning just as much as the student does. And I think it's evident that's going to be around based on all of the integrated programs that you see in grade 8 and 9. I think there's 3 grade 8 programs that are similar to this. There's EcoQuest, Let's Lead, and Science Trek, which are very similar to Outdoor School.
Right.
And now there's grade 9 programs popping up. There's Collective Voice and Earth Keepers over in, I think it's in Bowman, and there's the new one that actually just popped up in Tommy.
Oh. Oh yeah, they have eco something.
Yeah,
something.
I don't remember what it's called, but I was hearing about it, and yeah, it's the programs involving outdoor learning experiences are popping up, and are still very popular, and I still hear about these programs, and a lot of my friends went through these programs and love them. So when you ask if it's a bandwagon, I don't think it is. I think that this learning style and this experience is something that kids enjoy, and I think that's why it's going to stay around. It's because it's so different, and it's enjoyable, and it's... Yeah, I think that says my piece, yeah.
Might even pick up a bit. Yeah.
You ain't?
Common thing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, Kyle, thanks for sharing, and thanks for watching, for those of you who are watching.